Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Meshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyadvamidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So last week, we just started the negation of the 5 koshas. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things we need to remember, these various maps, like the gross, subtle, causal body, the 5 koshas, are map, not territory. Your equipment is one whole medium from gross to subtle. And I like to use the example, if you look at an atlas, you can see the elevation of the Marin headlands, or you can look at the weather patterns, or the roads, or the water sources on Mount Tam, etc. That's very different than driving up to Mount Tam, getting out of the car, and experiencing the totality. So this breakdown of the 5 koshas, it points, it's a map, your equipment itself is the territory. So we started with the Annamaya kosha, the food tube. We munch through life, consuming a mountain of food, producing a mountain of poop, and eventually we end up as food for worms or fishes. So what verse are we on now?
We're on 155.
155. Can you help us out, please, Ganesh?
I think it's page 299. Yeah.
209, right?
Well, I'm looking at a Kindle, so maybe different.
What verse is
Yeah,
there?
it's verse 155, right?
I think that's
Yes,
it. Yeah.
yes, yes, that's
It's
correct.
verse 155. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Purvam Janeradhi. Oh, is it my can you guys
If you
hear
look
me?
at the heading, it'll be the second verse after we start with the negation of the 5 koshas.
Yeah, we can hear you, Ganesh.
Okay. You guys are breaking up for me, so yeah. But okay, I'll get started. Hopefully, things here are okay. Purvam जनेरधि मृतेरपि नायमस्ति जातक्षण क्षणगुणो नियतस्वभावः नैको जडश्च घटवत् परिदृश्यमानः स्वात्मा कथं भवति भाव विकारवेत्ता. Before its birth, it does not exist, nor does it continue to be after its death. It lasts only for a short period. Its qualities are fleeting and by nature subject to change. It is diversified and inert. It is diversified and inert, and like a jar, is a sense object.
Yes.
How then can it be the self, the witness of all changes in all things?
Now, why is he spending so much time on this? Because the seed attachment, we call it the bija vasana, is identification with the body. So at birth, the body comes into existence. It exists for a time. You're born, you grow up, you get sick, and you die. It goes out of existence. It's constantly changing. Your waistline changes, your skin changes, your hair changes. It's constantly changing. Most importantly, I know the body like I know a pot, a jar. So when you were a child, you had a little body. You went through adolescence, your body changed. You became an adult, your body changed again. Some of us are on the downhill slide in the third act of life. Body's changing again. But have you not known the changes in the body? You are not the body. You are the knower of the body. The body is not self. Any thoughts on this? Now, attachment, identification with body is the hardest one to break. It's the root of all the rest of the constructions of ego. Next verse.
पाणिपादादिमान् देहो नात्मा व्यङ्गेऽपि जीवनात् तत्तच्छक्तेर्नाशाच्च न नियम्यो नियामकः. The body, which is made of arms, legs, etc., cannot be the Atman, for even if these organs are amputated or removed, it continues to function efficiently. It is thus subject to the rule of another and cannot be the Atman, the ruler of all.
Yes. So here Shankara gives us what I call the amputation meditation. So if the body is the self and your feet were cut off, would you still be you? If your legs were cut off, would you still be you? If your hands were cut off, would you still be you? Or you can be like Dick Cheney, which had a mechanical heart for a while. So actually, most of us think, or don't think, but we kind of assume, what was the name of the cartoon where it was Futurama, I think, where they had the heads of all these people in the jars. Do you guys remember that? Is that who I am? Am I just a head? It's kind of think that because most of my senses are in my head. But no, where are you? Now, where it gets tricky, you see, if when you dream, you have a dream body and you have a dream ego identified with it. But upon waking up, it's very clear that was just something my mind did. Of course, I am not the body in my dream. What Shankara is saying here is, you are also not the body in the waking state. You are the knower of the body. Now, what fools us is it feels like I'm inside peeping out, but I have the same experience in the dream. In fact, the body is an object of cognition, and it is essentially inert. All the various senses and organs and limbs are known by me. They are not inherently sentient. Well, my finger can know my nose. No, I know the sensation of my finger touching my nose. The locus of identity is not inside my finger. Take a deep breath. Feel the breath in the body. Do you not know the breath in the body? You know it in the same way you know a table, a glass, the sound of traffic. It is an object of cognition, not self. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Dehat dharmat karma tad dehat dharma tat karma tadavasthadi sakshinah sata eva swatah siddham tadvailakshanyam. It is self-evident that the Atman is the enduring reality, that it is different from the body and its characteristics, its states and activities, that it is a witness of them all.
So you are self-evident. You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. How do you know you are you? I don't know, I just am. That's right. The self-evidence of the self is different than the way in which I know everything else. But I know the body. Do you have any aches and pains in your body? Yeah. Do you know them? You know them as an object of cognition. Did you work out today and feel really good? Oh, yeah. Did you know it? Yes. I am not the body. I am the knower of the body. If I really examine it, the body is always an object of cognition. It's never the subject. Next verse.
शल्यराथिर्मासलिप्तो मलपूर्णोति कश्मलः कथं भवेद्यं वेत्ता कथं भवेद् कथं भवेदयं वेत्ता स्वयमेतद्विलक्षणः. How can the self-existent Atman, the knower, ever be the body, which is a packet of bones, covered with flesh, full of filth, and extremely impure, but is always distinct from it?
Yes. How can the body be the self? The self is Vishuddha, extremely pure. What is the body? A skeleton covered with flesh, organs, dermis and epidermis, filled with feces and urine, snot. And what I find so fascinating, for those of us who are young and sexually active, ooh, there's a hottie. Oh, they're so hot. Well, just quit bathing the body for a couple of weeks. Don't wipe it. And very quickly becomes pretty disgusting. Such is the body. And it is always an object of cognition. And even its various dharmas. Oh, I'm so hungry. Oh, I really have to pee. I'm horny. All of those sensations, I know them. Not qualities of me, qualities of the body. And we're not saying the body's bad. It's just not me. Personally, I think the best attitude to take towards the body is a neutral one. See it like a car. Some of us have a Volkswagen, some of us have a Maserati. Some of us have a 48 Packard. But what do you want to do with your car, whatever kind of car you have? Well, if you want it to serve you, rotate the tires, keep them inflated, change the oil, take it through the car wash, put fuel in it, and then it will get you from here to there. The body is fundamentally an instrument for the realization of the self. So we don't want to get caught up in what I call flesh hating. Oh, this nasty old body. Oh, it's so terrible. No, that does no good in the end. And frankly, Shankara can kind of drift in that direction at times. My personal view is take a neutral view of the body. There's a glass here. Whether the glass is chipped or the glass is beautiful makes very little difference from a relational standpoint. What's important to know is I'm not a glass. It has a function, holds water. It's not self. The body is not self. Next verse.
Tvang mam samedo Thipurisharasha Vahamatin Mudha Karoti Vilakshanam Veti Vicharashilo Nijaswarupam Paramarthabhutam. The foolish man identifies himself with this skin, flesh, fat, bones, and filth. But the man of discrimination knows that his self is distinct from the body, unique, and the only reality.
Yes. So a foolish person thinks I am the body and therefore is committed to its care, its improvement. He thinks when people like the body, I'm okay. When people think the body is not attractive, and then when the doc gives you the news, you're going to die, we're filled with fear. Your car goes clunk, clunk, clunk. You drive to the mechanic, and the mechanic says, well, you've blown the head gasket. Your car is going to die. Time to get a new one. It's annoying, frustrating, maybe expensive, but it's not. So also with the body. It's funny, I had a student for a while who was very, very committed to and a practitioner of hatha yoga, did postures. He was sitting there on the couch and he'd been reading about the yogis in the Himalayas who lived to be 400 years. They take the Kundalini energy and they move it up through the brain and out through the crown chakra. And I said to him, I won't say his name. Well, the first thing you want to do if you want to live, do that is you have to give up having sex. Because you got to transmute all that energy. That was disappointing to it. And then I said, the other thing that I want to ask you is, what happens at year 401? You're dead. You're just as dead as the person who dies at 61 or 71 or 81 or 91. And in the long scheme of time, the difference between 71 and 401, it's nothing. Truth is, you are birthless, changeless, deathless. Take care of the body. Take the middle path. Don't eat too much. Don't eat too little. Don't sleep too much. Don't sleep too little. Don't exercise too much. Don't exercise too little. Eat healthy. Why? So you can forget the body. So it no longer demands your attention. Next verse.
देहो हमित्येव जडस्य बुद्धिः देहे च जीवे विदुषस्त्व हन्धिः विवेकविज्ञानवतो महात्मनो ब्रह्माहमित्येव मतिः सदात्मनि. I am the body thus thinks a foolish man. A man of mere book knowledge considers himself to be a combination of the body and the jiva. But the realized sage, because of his discrimination, knows that I am Brahman and looks upon the eternal Atman as a self.
So here he's talking about one of the major ideas that we have in Hinduism and Buddhism, which can be useful for beginners, but in the end can be impediment. And that is for people who identify as the transmigrating soul. Oh, I went and had past life readings. I was such and so in a prior life. I hope I have a better life next time. I think I'm the jiva, this transmigrating soul. Okay, I inhabit the body for my 70, 80, 90 years, but when it dies, then I go 40 days hide in another body. A lot of people for whom that is their reality, that is their belief. Listen very carefully. We are not saying that the subtle body is not one of the conditionings, the bodies. But you are neither the subtle body nor the physical body. You are the consciousness that illumines them both. You were never born. You do not die. Here's an interesting question for you. Do you incarnate into a dream? Are you in the dream? Or is the dream in? And are you ever really touched by the dream? Even if at the time you're dreaming, you do not know it. So also, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. That is the knowledge of the person of wisdom, not the physical body. Also, not the transmigrating soul, this jiva that moves from body to body. That's just someone who's read a lot of books believes that. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Atratma buddhim tyajamudha Tvang mam samedo sthit purar purisharashau sarvatmani brahmani nirvikalpe purushva shantim paramam bhajasva. Cease to identify yourself with this packet of skin, flesh, fat, bones, and filth, O foolish one. Instead, identify yourself with the absolute Brahman, the self of all, and gain the experience of supreme peace.
So this is the hardest one to break, the most important. I am not the body. I am the knower of the body. just this machine, this automaton that moves through the world. But I'm ever the witness, the knower. We practice this. Oham, who am I? Over and over. Next verse.
देहेन्द्रियादावसति भ्रमोदिता विद्वानहन्तां न जहाति यावत् तावन्न तस्यास्ति विमुक्तिवार्ताप्यस्त्वेष वेदान्तनयान्तदर्शी. There is no liberation for a man of mere book knowledge, even if he be very well read in the philosophy of Vedanta, so long as he does not give up his false identification with the body, sense organs, etc., which are unreal.
So we make a distinction, between what we call paroksha jnanam, which is indirect knowledge, meaning I've read lots of books, I've gone through lots of commentary, I've listened to lots of gurus, I watch lots of YouTube videos. But until we give up our identification with a personal sense of self, which has as its root identification with the body, aparoksha jnana, direct experience, there's no liberation. Now, they're what I call the Marin County yogis, who think that freedom comes from self-care. I'm getting a massage today, then I'm going to do aromatherapy, and then my Pilates. Nothing wrong with taking care of the body. But if you think you're going to find freedom through pampering the body, you are deluded. And there are those who say, oh, I'm getting very spiritual. I'm studying pink tantra. I'm learning how to have tantric sex. We do eye gazing and get really high, and oh, the sex is so good. I'm spiritual. All this does is further identify us with the body. I'm not saying it's not fun, but it's just another worldly pleasure. You can call anything you want spiritual, doesn't make it so. There is no liberation to be gained by pampering the body. You want to be able in the deep, white heat of meditation to forget the body. Next verse.
छाया शरीरे प्रतिबिम्बगात्रे Yat swapna dehe hridi kalpitange yathatma buddhistavanasti kachi jivat charire chathaiva mastu. Just as you would not identify yourself with your shadow, your reflection, your dream body, or the body in your heart's imagination, so too you should not identify yourself with your living body.
Yes. So, oh, I'm so upset. It was a sunny afternoon and my shadow fell in the gutter. It was all muddy. No one worries about their shadow getting dirty. Or the one I think is so funny. You go into a fancy restaurant, and you go into the toilet, and the mirror is indirectly lit, and it may be like darkened just a little bit. You look at yourself, I'm looking pretty good. And then you go to Ross or Target with the fluorescent lights, and you're gonna try on a pair of pants, and you go in the dressing room and pull on the pair of pants, and it's bright light, you say, oh God, all the little broken blood vessels and a roll of fat, it's am I the only one who's ever had this experience? I am not my reflection. Or the body of my heart's desire. Yeah, I'm still 40 pounds overweight, but I look really good at 185. I was so buffed, then I'm working on getting back there to that body of my heart's desire. I think I hit it for about 15 minutes in my late 30s. Just my imagination. Not real. Neither is this meat lump. Again, not to be despised. Treat it like a car, like a vehicle. No, it's not. Next verse.
Dehatmadhirev nranama sadhyam janmadi dukkha prabhavasya bijam yatastatastvam jahitam prayatnat yakte tu chittena punarbhavasha. For those who are attached to the unreal, identification with the body is the seed from which the misery of birth, etc., stems forth. Therefore, put in all your efforts to destroy it. There can be no chance of rebirth if this identification caused by the mind is renounced.
Yes. So essentially, the body is the vehicle for the garnering of experience, for the satisfaction of desires. So I want to have fabulous sex. What is it? It's with the body. I want to go visit Venice. What is it? The body. I want to be promoted at work. What is it? It is the body. Oh, I want to live in a better house. What is it? It's the body. The root idea from which the whole structure of our egoism and our attachments to the world and our identifications with the ego all have as their root identification with the body. Drop it. let it go. I don't mean let the body go. It's not about becoming, a slob. It means disidentify. Any thoughts on this?
It's interesting. Even waking up or becoming spiritual is the body. It's the identification with the body, right? It's the person.
The mark of the
Yeah.
person of steady wisdom is they know they're not the body.
Yeah.
I am Brahman. I am not the body. Yes. Next verse.
Pranamaya kosha, vital air sheath. Karmendriyai panchabhiranchitoyam prano bhavet pranamayastu kosha yenatmavanannamayo nupurna pravartate sau sakala kriyasu. The prana, along with the 5 organs of action, constitutes the vital air sheath pervaded by which the food sheath, the physical body, performs all its activities as though it were living.
So prana, the vital air, is actually the energy body. And along with the 5 organs of action, the karma indriyas forms the pranamaya kosha. What are the 5 organs of action? Hands, feet, tongue, anus, and genitals. And we have the jnana indriyas or buddhindriyas, the organs of knowledge, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Data in, organs of action, hands, feet, tongue, anus, and genitals. Energy out. So that plus the prana forms the energy body, the pranamaya kosha. Now, I can't remember. I don't think he goes into the Panchavayu in this text, but I'll briefly talk about them. There's 5 subsidiary pranas which govern breathing, excretion and exhalation, circulation, digestion, and thinking. And in the Raja Yoga tradition, first we do asana, which is about getting some peace, flexibility, stability, strength in the Annamaya kosha, the food sheath. Then we take up the practice of pranayama, which is learning how to control the energy through the control of the breath. Now, a lot of people think it's all about energy. Oh, I'm going to raise my kundalini. I'm not saying this stuff isn't a whole big part of yoga. Oh, I'm opening my chakras. This stuff happens. Movement of the energy, the prana, and it pervades the physical body. But we can get stuck there, thinking it's all about energy. What Shankar's going to point out is the energy is an object of cognition. I know the energy. Even if we're not practicing pranayama, you get up in the morning and you're not feeling very well and your energy is low, you're aware, oh, my energy is low today. Another day you get up and you make it to the gym and you eat well, you drink plenty of water. My energy is really vital and vibrant today. I know the difference in the pranamaya kosha. We're not doing pranayama practices. Any questions about this? Not saying that energy is not important, just like eating good food is important for the Annamaya kosha. That's not God. That's not Brahman. That's not the self. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
नैवात्मापि प्राणमयो वायुविकारो गन्ता गन्ता वायुवदन्त बहिरेषः यस्मात् किञ्चित् क्वापि न वेत्तीष्टमनिष्टं स्वयं वान्यं वा किञ्चन नित्यं परतन्त्रः. The vital air sheath cannot be the self because it is a modification of air, vayu. Like air, it enters the body and goes out of it, never knowing its joys or sorrows or those of others. It is ever dependent upon the self.
Yes. So the prana is not self-evident, self-luminous. Now, let me modify this a bit. The prana does have an intelligence, but it is not sentient. What do I mean by that? So my cells have an intelligence. I cut my finger this week. The cells in my finger don't heal and make a nose. They make finger cells. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So there's an intelligence in the cells of the body. And energy has an intelligence. You know, we can tell, for example, that we have it even in our language. Oh, I'm all choked up. Oh, there's a blockage in the energy in my throat chakra. You know, and you finally cry, ah! And that energy releases. So just because it is not inherently sentient, it is not the knowing principle, does not mean that the energy is not intelligent. It knows where to go, it knows what to do, just like your cells do. Does that make sense? Subtle point, subtle point. All right. Because in pranayama, there's a connection between breath work and the emotional bodies and the physical bodies. And for those who are intuitively drawn to do that for healing, for cleansing, for doing emotional trauma release and things like that, it's a value, it's intelligent, but it is not inherently sentient. What intelligence it has is because of the sentience of the self. All right, next verse.
Manomaya kosha, mental sheath. Jnanendriyani cha manascha manomaya syat kosho mamahamiti vastu vikalpa hetu sanyadi bedha kalana kalito baliyan statpurva kosham abhipurya vijrambate yah. The organs of perception, along with the mind, form the mental sheath, which is the sole cause for the I and mind diversity of things. It has the essential faculty of creating differences of names, etc., and it is powerful. It pervades the sheath preceding it, the vital air sheath.
So, the organs of knowledge, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, and manas, mind, form the mental sheath. Now, this word manas is an interesting one. It is the root of the Sanskrit word manusya, which means a person. We get the English word man from the Sanskrit manas. A man is a being with a mind. There is a special kind of man called a womb man. WOMB-MAN, shortened to woman. A woman is a thinking being with the additional glory of a womb. So it's so funny in our modern political correctness. We don't want to use man. We want to say you're a person. Well, person comes from persona, which means for sound. And a persona is a mask. If you go to the theater, you'll see the comedy and the tragedy masks, on the walls. Those are persona. They not only said the character was happy and sad, but also amplified sound. That's what they were initially for. So do you want to be a thinking being or do you want to be a mask? It's very interesting. So what does the mind do? The mind creates the distinctions. I like this, I don't like that. This is beautiful, this is ugly. This is mine, this is not mine. It creates the distinction of I-ness and mine-ness. This belongs to me, it does not belong to you. And it creates all the quality of this world. Scriptures say the mind is the world, and the world is the mind. Now, in Vidyaranya's text, Panchadashi, he riffs on this in a very interesting way. He said that mind creates the world in two ways. The first is the mind of God, Ishvara, who creates galaxies and stars and black holes and mountains and rivers and things like that. Those things are inherently neutral. They are shunyata, void in that sense. They have no qualitative essence to them. It is my individual mind that then superimposes on that. Oh, I really like Wendy. The Lord just created a Wendy. Neutral. Or she pissed me off. I don't like Wendy anymore. That's my mind that does that. So when my mind is creating this qualitative world, I am unable to see the Lord's world. So, as a practice, if we tune up the mind and endeavor to let go of the superimpositions, likes and dislikes, good and bad. I remember when I was in the ashram, just walking through Golden Gate Park, and just look at a flower. You look at a candy wrapped around the ground. Look at the people playing baseball. And you see dog poop. You see a tree. And endeavoring to not superimpose likes and dislikes, qualitative judgments on things. It's amazing as you begin to see a world that's just full of vibrancy, energy, very different than the kind of world we run around in most of the time. I like to use this paradigm. So I'm sitting out at Ocean Beach and I'm looking out in the ocean. Direct sense perception, there's something white. Then the intellect comes in, the buddhi, to determine the suchness, the thatness of it. Is it a buoy? Is it a sailboat? Is it a container ship? What is it? Ah, it's a sailboat. Oh, it looks like it's about a 90-foot catch. That reminds me when I used to go sailing with my dad. Mine. Oh, I love sailing. God, that's a beautiful boat. Oh, it would be so cool to go sailing again. I love sailing. That's mine. Now, see, babies don't have much of that yet. They don't even have the thatness and suchness of the intellect. I always talk about for newborns, you put a mobile up above them. Anybody do that with kids?
Seen it, yeah.
Why do they do it?
For them to start discriminating.
To start to focus their eyes. Who said you're supposed to focus your eyes?
Yeah.
They don't distinguish this from that yet. But mind develops real soon. Next verse.
Panchendriyai panchabirev hotribihi prachiyamano vishayajyadharaya Chajvalyamano bahuvasanendhanaihi manomayagnirvahati prapancham. The five sense organs act as priests who feed the fuel of numerous desires into the mental sheath, which is a sacrificial fire. This fire, the mental sheath, brings about and maintains the entire phenomenal world when it is set ablaze by the sense objects, which act as a continuous stream of oblations.
So this is a direct riff from the Upanishads. And the metaphor is the yajna, the sacrificial, the fire sacrifice, like Agnihotra. So what do? The priest builds the altar with the bricks, and then they start the wood. And then when they do the ritual, they pour the oblations, the ghee, and the various things they're going to put into the fire. So we're using this metaphor. So the mind is the fire set ablaze. And the priests, the sense organs, deliver the oblation, which is the various sense experiences. What did you enjoy today? Name something you enjoyed today.
The blue sky with the white clouds.
And all that was delivered through your senses. And the mind was set ablaze. Oh, I love the blue sky. Did you get annoyed with anything today?
Yeah.
What?
Lloyd did something.
Yeah. How did you know it?
My senses, hearing,
He
seeing.
said
Yeah,
something that you
yeah.
didn't like.
Yeah.
You saw something he did that you didn't like. So the senses are the priests, relation are the sense objects, and the mind is set ablaze, the likes and dislikes.
It's a great metaphor.
Now, if what we want to do is extinguish this burning of the mind, how successful will we be by throwing more fuel on it? The fire's hungry. We give it more food. It just gets bigger. So many of us, what's my problem? More. I'm a more fiend. Whatever it is, I want more of it. Because the more you feed the fire of the mind, the hungrier it gets. More sex, more money, more attention. The fire just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Now, as he's talked about the fire of the mind, one of the words we hear in the scriptures is nirvana. Nirvana is not a place. Nirvana means blown out. It's when that blaze of the mind, all caught up and more, better, different. I want. It's blown. Remember back in the early part of the text when Shankar was talking about the qualifications of a fit teacher, he said, who's as calm as a fire when it's burnt up its fuel. Same imagery. All right, next verse.
न ह्यस्त्य विद्या मनसोऽतिरक्ता मनो ह्यविद्या भवबन्धहेतुः तस्मिन् विनष्टे सकलं विनष्टं विजृम्भते विजृम्भतेऽस्मिन् sakalam vijrumbhate. Apart from the mind, there is no ignorance, avidya. The mind itself is the ignorance which is the cause for the bondage of rebirth. When the mind is destroyed, everything else is destroyed. When the mind manifests, everything else manifests.
So, what do we mean by the mind is destroyed? It's not about getting a frontal lobotomy. It's not about some state of insensibility. The mind can be reduced to three ideas. Jiva Bhavana, I think I'm a person. And as we've talked about in the prior section, I think I'm my body, or my body plus my personality. As soon as I'm in that state, it's inherently discontent. And then the mind posits a goal. The goal only takes two forms. I either need to fix or change the world, or I need to fix or change me. And then the third element we call kartavya, obligatory action, struggle. I'll be happy when, it'll be better if only I had this, when I get that, I'm working hard to fix this. That's all there is to the mind, is those three ideas. The whole neurosis, you can spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars going to the psychotherapist. They probably will never tell you. You will have no peace till you deal with these three ideas. The destruction of the mind is giving up those three ideas. We work on the first one. Who am I? I'm not the jiva, not the individual and the witnessing consciousness. I give up my belief in a separate world that has the power to fix me. It's all just projections of mind. And we give up struggle. Let it go. Now, it may also be interpreted as the destruction of the mind and entering into a state we call nirvikalpa samadhi, which we will address much later in the text. Nir means without, vikalpa means a perturbation or a movement. Samadhi, complete quiescence of mind, where there's no thought. But for now, where we are in our sadhana, I think it's more useful to think of these three ideas. I think I'm a person. I've got some goal. I'm convinced the goal is what's going to make it better and make me happy. And I have to struggle toward it. I either need to change the people, places, things, and conditions. Or I think I need to change me. And yoga says, okay, we'll end here. This is a long section. It's one of the richest and most subtle things that Shankara has written. I love his explanation of the Manomaya Kosha. So what verse are we on for next week?
170.
170. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.